Hello everyone, this is Pierre. I said my name was, I think I said my name was Lamont before, but I did change my name to Pierre De, okay, if you're not familiar. But I don't use my name that much, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So I hope everybody's doing fine. I'm doing fine, and I'm making this video as an update, or really before an update, because I'm just getting back with everybody and telling them that I'm getting ready to get back on track again with the my videos that I've been doing. Okay, my sequels or I guess lessons or whatever. But like I said, I don't like to get too technical or anything like that. Everything's been doing everything. I've been doing fine. I've been keeping up, and most of the time, mostly, which is the most important as far as these videos are concerned, is I always, always, always continue to make lessons. I always work on my lessons. Like I told you, for each YouTube, it takes me about 100 hours. Well, in my in between my last video, my last YouTube, until now, I can say that I've put in over 300 hours of information as far as going forward is concerned. It's something that I've always done. If you are familiar with my YouTube and the things that I'm going through, I got to figure out how I'm going to call it. I don't like to say lessons, but if you know about from the beginning, and if you listen to them, or if you went over those YouTubes, you'll see that I how can I say? Kind of lost that point, but what I was saying is that I continue to. I forgot what I was going to say, but it'll come back to me. But anyway, I always continue to progress on the lessons. Like I said, I spend like 100 hours on each YouTube. And this time I continue. Okay, this is what I wanted to say. Is that my process of the way that I do things started when I was very, very young. And I learned how to take in information. I learned how to study no matter what I'm doing. It's just like when you're at work and you want something on and you want to do something. Maybe you plan for a wedding or something like that, or maybe you're planning for a big birthday party, and you keep thinking about it. I mean, it's an event, and you're always thinking about it all the time. So it's the kind of like that concept. But what I do, it's kind of like the process of what I'm doing, because these YouTubes are very important to me. So that means that I can study, because I know a lot of different techniques, and continually build on it no matter what I'm doing. Sometimes I just like totally just concentrate on some points that I want to bring about, or some things I want to learn, okay? And that's when I'm doing it with, just concentrating on that. But as far as for the most part, which is very important, is that no matter what I'm doing, I can learn from what I'm doing to better the tapes and better the YouTubes, okay? So I wanted to say that. So now I'm going to get into, I don't know how long this is going to be. I don't think it's going to be that long. But I just wanted to say that I'm coming back. We have lessons. I know as far as the dance without, should I start with dance without music? I guess. Yeah. As far as the dance without music, we're on some kind of I think it's like section 4. I have to go over those and see, but I'm almost sure we're on a 3. We're going to complete 3 and we're going on to a 4. That one is going to be on force. So I'm getting into the meat of what we're going to do. That one is going to be on force. We worked up to force. Force would be about, I always say years because these YouTubes are going to last a long time. It doesn't have like a shelf. I mean, as far you don't, I'm not going to put them on the shelf and then they're not useful because everybody starts at a different time. So I'm going to say that I say 40 years. I've already done it. I mean, if you listen to my other YouTubes, you'll see how I work and everything. So I completed that, and it's up to force, which completes a big section of everything. Let's talk about force. Force is very important. You need, however, you do need all the other lessons. Because force, you start back over. It's say like if we had a circle. When we start learning about force, we completed the circle and we have to understand everything that started in the beginning of Dance Without Music, because you're going to utilize how force works with all the other things. So I'm just getting your interest now as far as force is, as far as Dance Without Music is concerned, and as far as my tapes are coming out pretty soon. Okay, so we have force. Force is actually you. It can be fingerprinted. I'm not a scientist. I didn't go to school for science. I mean, I kind of think about myself as a scientist, but as everybody can think of themselves as a scientist. But I'm not the type of person. It's not my job to say, okay, force, and then I figure out everything about force. At least I'm not there yet. That's somebody else's job for now. I don't know if I'll get into it or whatever. But I'm talking about force as far as Dance Without Music is concerned, okay? I do say everything that I say in the tape is about Dance Without Music. But if you're really, really, really highly intelligent, you would know that utilizing your human mind and body is pretty much on top of everything else, okay? Because you use everything in order to create everything. So anyway, we're getting into force. Force can be fingerprinted, okay? Things that you do, there's nobody else who can do things the way you do it. So as far as all the other things that we said, and I say everything because we can't put things into, we can't utilize terms like we did before. Like for instance, we can't say everything force. We can't say everything is pressure. We can't say everything is compression, which you don't know about compression because we haven't done that. That goes along with force. We can't say everything is the control, which we already went over. We can't say everything is movement. Like I said, movement. Everything moves toward the earth, and we can't say everything is movement, okay, or weight. Like I said, there's no gravity in Dance Without Music, okay. And in order for me to get to force, there could not have been a gravity, okay, because it's like I needed to see everything that's happening. If I added that in, then it would fall apart and you wouldn't be able to utilize your force. You can do it in algorithms like we do, which I say subconsciously, like when you're doing something, you just do it in algorithms. Maybe some things that we do very simply, maybe we might use 10 to 20 things when we could just use 3 if we know about force. So like I said, this is just something to get your interest. Like I said, force can be fingerprinted. It's even more so than your fingerprints. But I'm not going to sit there. I don't have the time. Everything is time on earth to try and figure out how we can fingerprint force. But it can be fingerprinted because, like the way I move my hand, the way I do things, I use force. But everybody does it everybody has their own force. Okay, so let's just drop that and get more into the force thing that I'm trying to explain to you. The smallest amount, the smallest example I can use as far as force is concerned is when you're threading a needle. I'm going to do that. Sometimes I do little scientific things, like when I did the chain like that. Okay, when you thread a needle, I'm getting some kind of, okay, that's nothing. Okay, so when you thread in a needle, that's to me the smallest amount of breaking down of using your force. Okay, and I'm gonna do that. I can do it on my contacts because I have myopia. Okay, but it's different because it's not. It's just that your eyeball, I kind of tell you a little bit about this since I've been through it so much, is a little bit bigger than others, so it doesn't reach to the back of the eye. Okay, but when I take off my contacts, I can see magnifying because my eyes are really, really like large inside. So when I see the needle and the thread, it's more like magnifying to me, but I look very close. So I can see things that normal people wouldn't see with their plain eyes. So I'm using that as force. The algorithm or whatever that we use as far as force is concerned, the smallest amount can be used when we thread a needle. So we're going to do that. That's when you utilize force. Another thing is I'm going to, in Washington they have this park, and it has like a, I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it's a labyrinth, okay, to where you see it on TV sometimes in movies, to where someone rich has this garden, and they have hedges or plants or whatever, bushes, and they go through this maze, like, okay. So there's, I can say call it a maze. So they have like a maze there, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do the needle, and then I'm going to show you a grander way of using force as far as going through this labyrinth or going through this maze. Okay, it's in a park somewhere. I'll do that. Okay, and one more example of force, like I said, in order to really understand force, this is at 40 years, okay? Once you end this program, it takes care of you. I know. I've been doing it since I was a kid, okay? It all links together. So I talked about the maze. Now I want to get into force, okay, to explain to you that remember when I told you the circle, you need to go back, you need all of the tools that we explained before. You need to know about pressure, you need to know about movement, how we're always moving. Like right now, my body wants to move, the earth is moving. I mean, some people can handle that fact and they want to think in their mind that everything is stable, but the earth is moving. If the earth is moving, then you're moving all the time. That means everything is moving, okay? And that means that the earth really doesn't have a center. I mean, it has a center, but if it's moving all the time, it's not, it's just where it was before, there's nothing there. And where it's gonna be, there's nothing there. So that means the earth is moving, it's in motion. It's like, your car, you know what I mean? I mean, you can put all the things you want in your car, but it's there and it's moving, and there's only so many concepts that you can put in your car because it's how can you say, it's not stable, okay, as far as the concepts that you can use. It's not there forever, okay. That's going into too much, but anyway, I was talking about the earth when they say about gravity, okay? I don't want to talk too much about gravity because I already went over it. But in your belief of gravity, you think that things are like stable. And when we think of gravity, we think about it's going toward the middle of the earth. But then you're putting something in your mind which hinders you from knowing more about force, okay? And that's another thing. In order to do force, in order to understand this thing about force, you're going to have to you're going to have to already condition your body from the beginning, because that has to go into subconscious. Now you can put in subconscious what you want, because we stored everything. We don't have to bring it up. If I told you about the first lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and all those other lessons up to 10, and then we went back over to expert and things like that, all of that can be, that's all of that. You don't have to retrieve it because it's there, okay? Then you can pretty much, later on, you'll be able to do your, you can put things in subconscious, okay? So anyway, we have all those lessons that we learned, which is going to go into the subconscious. It's the terms that we have to use, okay? We only have terms that we have to use to make you understand these things. So you have to have all those tools that we went over in your subconscious, and you can bring them up anytime. But this subconscious is different because you can bring up things, but before you just did things subconscious and you had no control over them. With this, now you're going to have a control over your subconscious, okay? So, because you put it in subconscious, okay? And you do it all the time, but you just don't recognize it. So now, in order to understand force, we utilize our conditioning. So I'll say that it's conditioning. All of the things that we've learned, our bodies are conditioned. So now we have to work with force when we get there, whenever you get there, okay? And if you just go to control, you'll have a lot of holes, which you'll see, okay? So now I'm on force. So now I want to get up from this, and I want to explain to you a little bit about force. But I'm going to show you something about force. First of all, I can see in my subconscious, I can feel the movement going down. I can feel that. In order for me to see, which we use force, but we don't see it, and we don't control it. We can't control it. I mean, it's all over the place. If your body's not conditioned, your force is spread around all over the place. And one point I wanted to make is, we have all these things, like I mentioned, they're not mixed together. If they're mixed together, sometimes it's like a pain, or it's something that's not working properly. But if you take all the things that we're studying and you put them into perspective where they belong, you see how they work together. So everything's not force. So you don't say a force is bringing me to earth, okay? You can't say that, because force in itself is something else. I remember when I was taking, I think, physics, and they say force, this force, and I always said, where is force? That's kind of like put me back. It kind of like made me go a little bit slower, because I wanted to know where force is. And using Michael Jackson again, thank you, Michael Jackson, I remember one of his hit songs, Off the Wall. And I remember where I was in my room, and I put on the record, and it goes, you know, the force, it's got a lot of power, you know. It makes me feel like, he said force. And again, I said to myself, which I love the record, what is force? I question pretty much everything. And I find out the answers. I will find out the answers, okay? So, another thing too, the reason why I didn't like Star Wars too much, because they talked about force, the force be with you. Where's the force? I said to myself. I was interested in knowing where the force. If you can't tell me where the force is, how am I going to watch the movie? I mean, I liked it and everything, but it kind of like threw me off when they talk about so much about force when we don't know what the force is. So anyway, now we know. And I got to get off this subject, because this is just a tape to get you interested, and then I'll do an update or something, a pre-lesson, or I don't know how it's going to happen. So now, force. Force is your own. Now I can say force equals And this is for us right now. Like I said, when we get in a level, we can't act like it's in that level. We can't go above the level. So everything above the level, we don't know. So for now, I want you to see, and this is 40 years after you conditioned everything. But it's good to know about it now because you know where you're going, your goals. This is a goal. So now we have force, and when I go off on those tangents, it kind of messes me up. So now you have, I was saying, now you have force. Okay? And force is your own. Okay? Okay, what I wanted to say this is it's equal to direction and speed. Force, direction, and speed. Force, direction, and speed. Okay? Force equals direction and speed. Okay? Right now, don't even try and separate them. Force, direction, speed. Force is direction and speed. For now, at this point. Okay? So, and it's yours. It's unique. So now you have the weight, which is bringing you to the earth, but you want to use force here on earth. Somewhere else is going to be different. Okay? Another thing too, which I'm going to go off on a tangent, that means our bodies were made to, our bodies and mind are made for more than just the characteristics of the earth. Okay? Because force is something that we keep no matter where we go. But if we go to the moon or we go to Mars or somewhere else, I'm not saying anything. If we go somewhere else, maybe there won't be that weight or as much weight, but we still have force. So now we're here, and I'm here, and I'm sitting here, and I need force because I want to show you something, okay? And then we're going to close this pretty much on force. So force is yours. Force, direction, speed. Force, direction, speed. So let's just call it that. I don't want to say equal, I just want to say force, direction, speed. Okay? Now, I'm being moved down. Everything here is being moved down. Okay? I always go off on tangents because this one is really complicated. I got this book in my hand right here, okay? Because of my body's conditioned, I know the tension in here. I know the compression, which we haven't talked about. I know the pressure. I can feel it. I can go to it. I can feel also the, I can read. I want to say read or feel also the weight, the movement of it going down. But those things, once your body's conditioned, you're going to have to subtract them and just end up with force. So I just have force now. I put everything else in subconscious, and now I can feel the force. You can't feel it unless you know all the other things. It's like 7 things, 4 to 7 things. So if there's 7 or 8 things for now, when you lift a book and you say, what am I doing? The reason why you don't know what you're doing, because the thing about it is you're dealing with, I'm not things. We have to call them things now, at least 8 different things, okay? But I can subtract things out with my mind, and also your mind and your body at 40 years, it's going to seem as one, pretty much working as one, okay? So, I know the force. Right now, I can see the force, and I can lift it. I can go down, I can go up. The miracle is in the intelligence, okay? Okay, so now I feel myself going, I can put in the subconscious of my body moving down, and I'm gonna use my force to move up. And that's what I did. And we're gonna use force. Now I'm over here. We're going to use force in my lesson, but now this is just to get your interest. Like, I can move my hand up. Okay, that's a force. I can move my hand up. Now you remember in these exercises when you're in a gym in grammar school, they tell you to do this or they tell you to do this. But now, once you get to this point, you will see that there's 8 different things. Okay, you have the weight, you have tension, you have your control, like I told you. You have so many things, but now we're on force. So now I'm holding my arms up with force. I'm using force, okay? Because there's a force that goes down, but the force, the beauty of the force is that it can counter everything, okay? It's going down, but I can counter with force, my force, and bring my arms up. I could bring them down, but that's another thing. That means to bring them down, I could only just release my force and they go down. Or else I could use the force to gradually bring them down. That's the lesson force that we have to go on. Now the next one. I wanted to talk about that finishes Dance Without Music force. I think goes into 4. Now, to be an expert, not an expert. I was saying a master viewer of paintings. Okay, that one's I'm going to finish now because of the things that I want to say something else about the thing. Something I want to put one more thing into it to tell you that this thing is like perfect. I mean, force is perfect. It's an energy. I can say it's comparable because, like I said, I'm not a scientist, but somebody can, once they pick up on this thing and they see that it's true, I would compare it to like a hydrogen energy, so clean, but it's done so beautifully, and it could be, like I said, needle in a thread, which is done, and it can go within the fingers. Okay, it can. And remember when I did that? When you're at the 4 stage, this is division. It's like these two things are one. Okay, it's one. So you have a half here and a half here. So now that's. I want to get off force now. I think there was one more point I wanted to show about force, but I'll see about it because I didn't plan this one because I wanted to make sure I got it through because I'm bringing out the other tapes. Now we're going to a master view of art. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to say before that. About the I know we have a problem. The reason why I'm not going to talk too much about the problem that's happening now because these tapes are the tapes that I'm doing, the YouTubes they last a long time. So they last on into the future. So I'm not going to talk about the problems that we have. Okay, you have to research it. If this is 40 years from now, research what's happening. Okay, but anyway, the only thing I want to say is when you condition your body, this is scary, but when you condition your body and something enters your body, you can pretty much tell. Some people do it subconsciously, which is very good. But when you're always with your body, I mean, you're always looking in your body. I mean, you're not concentrating where you want to be. You can tell when things are different. It's just like when you're sitting down in school and you get a bug on your skin, instantaneously you know it's there. Okay. So anyway, so now let's go on to the next thing, which is being a master viewer of art. The reason why I came up with what I just said because this the I told you I said it was a big deal. So things happen. It was 1 year if you're doing a master view of art, and you have to piece that together as far as finding out the YouTubes that I had as far as being a master view of art. But this really, really makes you strong if you do Dance Without Music and a master view of art. The master view of art, I have somebody who I really care about too. I don't know if it's gonna work. No, this time I prayed about it. I'm talking about my personal life now. This time I prayed about it because I always think that I meet somebody and something's gonna work out, and it never works out. So I did it on my own, and I try my best. But that's one way I do things is that I don't use the same method all the time. This time I ran out of methods, finding somebody beautiful, okay? And you know I'm gay, so you know I'm looking for a man. To find somebody beautiful, I mean, somebody that you want, someone's for you, okay? This is personal, but I have to let you know this since it makes more interesting. And you see that I'm just a regular person. So this time I ran out of methods, and I said to myself, well, I'm going to pray about it this time. So I prayed to God, and I said, listen, I didn't did everything. I mean, I can't do it on my own, so please help me. So he seems like he's helping me. I'll let you know. And if the person likes to be on YouTube, I'm a YouTube person, I'll introduce you to that person, but I don't know. I'm not the type of person in a relationship that wants, if somebody doesn't want to be in the YouTube, I can understand that. I'm pretty much very mature. So anyway, getting back with being a master viewer of art. So this time everything is closed. You already know that. Research it if you're watching this video years from now. And what I did is, since it's the second year, and those who have followed the applications, and they're on their first year actually, because the first year we went to view the National Gallery of Art. Okay, we went to view this. Okay, the National Gallery of Art. All right. We viewed this, and all the tapes are already there. So this time, point blank, when it was time to go after 1 year, all of the museums are closed, okay, and they're closed. So I had to come up with something, and I told you there's always things that happen. So what I did is one part of our study is studying because it's the master viewer of art, and architecture used to be, not so much now, but it was an art, okay? So in this architecture, I was going to put in like a later lesson. So we have to extend the 12 years, I'm sure it was a 12-year program, to 13 years. And we're going to add something for this first year. And I've already done it, okay? I did it in a different way because, like I said, this was going to be in the later on, when you're almost close to like maybe 8, 9, 10, or 12, okay? It's the architecture of the outside of a museum, of the museum that I'm talking about, the National Gallery of Art. So I'm bringing it here, and I'm kind of moving around things, and I told you I can adjust to everything, so I'm adjusting to this thing. We can't go inside, and we have to do something after 1 year. So what I did was I kind of like moved things around, and I added a year. So I went to the National Gallery of Art after pretty much 1 year, and I went around it, observing the architecture, okay? That's all I want to say. I did a little bit further because I know what's at the end, how I'm going to use architecture. But for now, the only thing you have to do is get there and circle. People are going to think you're weird, but everybody has something, okay? Now, they see a lot of weird things anyway. So you have to go from one circle, and you have to circle it and really pay attention. Not so much pay attention, you want to do the same thing as you would do to the paintings, like I said in the first lesson of this master viewer of art. Go around it once, maybe you could do it twice, okay? I did it for the National Gallery of Art. There's 2 buildings. I did it for both buildings, okay? That's very important. Then another thing, during this 1 year, until the second year, you have to write a 17-page paper. This is very important, and it has to be this way. It has to be, you have to have a title, okay, which is most likely my National Gallery of Art, whatever, first year or whatever. But it has to have subtitles, or it has to have, subtitles, okay. One subtitle is chronologically what you did the first year, okay. That'll handle pretty much a lot of pages. Just chronologically. The second one is how you felt. And feeling is pretty big. I'm talking about emotions, just felt, just the things that happened to you mentally. Mentally, as far as going through the whole thing, okay? The third one is how your concepts before you stepped into this program, your concepts, how can I say during, your concepts during that whole year, waiting for your first year, waiting that first year after your viewing. So it's going to be your second viewing, so I want to know how your concepts of what you were doing, pretty much about how you handled that first year. And the third one is your concepts about the future of their project, okay? Pretty much like that. You can add subtopics or topics, like in bold, and then like write whatever, okay? Or you don't have to. And that's one thing I want to talk about writing is this, okay? A lot of times, especially when it's history, the dates are all mixed in with how you felt and how this went and how that went and how this went. Well, we're kind of like categorizing things so that you can see things, you can organize things as far as communicating them to someone else. Right now it's very basic, and like I said, it's going to be 17 pages, okay? So you have your major title, then you have a subtopic, which is going to be chronologically, so it's going to be pretty much void of emotion, okay? Just chronologically what happened. And it's not boring, but chronologically what happened. I mean, you could put you just do it. I know you can do that. And then your emotions, how it affected you. So that means that the foundation is going to be the your chronology or whatever of what happened. And then on top of that, your subtopic is going to be, well, when I first entered, and when I saw this, and when I saw that. And I was going to put something on what you saw, but it's not going to be, and if you write anything about what you saw, most likely it's not going to be about the paintings, because we're scanning paintings. Most of it will be about how the rooms felt or how the people were. So those are things that you're going to mention in, but you got to figure that out yourself, okay? So those are things. I'm going to do another video, like I said, explaining more about the Master Viewer of Art. I hope everybody is doing very fine. Hang in there. Thank you very much for watching. I'm looking forward to either updates, or we're going to get right into the lessons on Dance Without Music, which is going to Expert 4, I think. But I think Expert 3, when I finish Expert 3, or finishing Expert 3 totally, I'm almost sure that's what it's at. So we're going into 4, but Expert 3 is actually coming to the point where it's 4. So Expert 3, we're going to finish out Expert 3 as far as that's concerned. So I might just get into lesson. Being a Master Viewer of Art, we're going to do another, I'll explain more about that. But I hope everybody sticks in there. These things are gonna last, okay? I'm just giving you some hints. I would download them all. You don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, it might take off so well to where they might regulate or something. I don't know. But anyway, take care. Thank you very much. Bye.